everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Michele Lansigan, and I'm a faculty in the chemistry department. And today I'll be sharing how I integrated ChatGPT into my complex problems class entitled Science and Pop Culture, not as a replacement for thinking and learning, but as a tool to help students analyze, reflect, and engage critically with our course material. So, although this work was situated in a complex problems class, the assignment and the strategy that I'll be sharing is adaptable to a wide variety of fields. So, generative AI is here, and now what? And it's reshaping the way our students think, write, and learn. And when ChatGPT emerged, our students were, of course, curious. Some were skeptical, and others were quietly experimenting how they can use it for their classes. And how do faculty respond to that? We actually had very similar reactions. We're also excited, we're skeptic, but we're uncertain all at once. But we've been here before. So every generation of learners has faced what we call as a disruptive tool, once feared to undermine thinking. We have calculators, which might replace how we think about math, personal computers, which can be a distraction, and the internet, of course, which can just be like cut, copy, paste of information. But we've overcome that and we've found ways on how to apply these tools to help us in our learning, not to replace the way we think and the way we reason with things. So the question now isn't whether we should use it, but how we can use it thoughtfully, ethically, and responsibly to enhance our learning. So this approach took shape in my complex problems seminar called Science in Pop Culture. And in this class, we explore how pop culture, from TV shows to movies like Iron Man, Black Panther, The Martian, to news and current events, COVID, and things like that, help shape public perception of science. So students analyze how media can both illuminate and distort science. It can give inspiration to young people to learn more about STEM, but it can also give unrealistic expectations or misconceptions. So it's a perfect setting to introduce technology, particularly AI, because it will allow us to shape knowledge and public understanding using these tools as well. So I started by being explicit about AI use in my syllabus, and I'm happy to share if you would like a copy. Students needed to know when it was permitted and how to disclose its use and what boundaries they're supposed to respect. And this clarity just set the tone for my class. I allow AI in my class, but only for specific purposes, for specific assignments, and I have to be very explicit with that. And my reason for that is that it's not supposed to replace how they reason and how they analyze things, but to help them further understand the material. So before we even touched ChatGPT, we built a foundation in information literacy. So I know we have somebody from the library here, but I collaborate heavily with Miss Clarissa Eisen, our science librarian. She's amazing. She led a session on evaluating sources, and we talked about credibility, bias, misinformation, and she taught the students how to evaluate sources or reference using the CRAAP test. Yes, students like that. And also how to evaluate online information using the SIFT method. So stop, investigate, find better coverage, and then trace claims. So she gave a lot of examples. I have a block class, so she took the first part of that block class, just really thoroughly discussing information literacy. So students needed these critical thinking tools before they embark on AI responsibly. So once they had that foundation, we had a class discussion. I introduced ChatGPT. I made sure that everybody has access for equitability. I introduced ChatGPT not just as a tool, but also as a topic for analysis. So we explored its strengths, like we can use it to brainstorm ideas, generate ideas, clarify something difficult in science, and of course also refine the written explanations, but limit that to just grammar and spelling checks. And then we also used it as a topic for debate or discussion. We talked about how we can have bias, misinformation, can be grounds for plagiarism. We talked about possible AI hallucinations, and basically like how I think it should be used ethically in an academic setting. And you'll be surprised at how students actually know what ChatGPT is and what it is not. They fully understand that AI is not a replacement for human judgment. So in designing the class activity that I'm about to share, I adapted this strategy from an article from the Journal of Chemical Education. It's about leveraging ChatGPT for enhancing critical thinking skills, and I basically adapted what they have in here. It's a scaffolded method on how to integrate AI into their classes. So as you can see there, they start with account setup, essay creation. I don't allow them to write an entire essay using that, but they ask ChatGPT to generate a response, and then they do output revision and validation. So one of the projects that I incorporated this into a science project called Making a Science Infographic. So they should be able to explain the science topic first before they are able to generate an infographic. So they have topics like how can we live in Mars? Why do onions make you cry? What's the difference between sunscreen and sunblock? And so I have this worksheet again. I'm happy to share. But they first use what Clarissa shared, taught them in the class, how to find sources using library databases, how to generate references that are reliable. And then I allow them to use ChatGPT. I asked them, what prompt did you use? Copy the exact prompt, the exact response that ChatGPT generated. And then this is where the bulk is. They have to validate each and every information, cross-check reference, think about bias and things like that. And I asked them to ask ChatGPT for references. And surprisingly, there are hallucinating references. And it was an eye opening experience for them. They know that ChatGPT is not that reliable. And so this is like an eye opening experience that it's not just about them using the tool, but also thinking about their thinking. So that's metacognition. And so I close that activity up always with a reflection. And my question was, as AU students, what specific actions can you undertake to use ChatGPT both ethically and responsibly? And the responses were revealing and really deeply thoughtful. And I'm not gonna say everything, but I'm just gonna summarize. I'll use ChatGPT not to do my work, but to help me understand it better, check my grammar, only use it when my professor permits it. I believe interestingly, some also do not want to use it because it can be over reliance and that can erode their creativity and their research skills. And one person even compared it to Wikipedia. Like, I can use it as a useful starting point, but not as a reliable source. So the perspectives are just really refreshing. So just some key takeaways: be clear about your AI expectations. Pair AI use with reflection. I think that's really useful and grounds your assignment in information literacy, and design your assignments where AI supports but does not substitute thinking, like brainstorming and concept simplification. Thank you very much. Any questions? I also have an Anferin conference if Anna is here, so I'm going to elaborate more on this, what I did for my classes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm a Henry from Kogod, and I also use the AI disclosure format. So I ask the students to submit their document once they use the AI or GPT. And it is hard for me to examine one by one because
Yeah.
I manage more than 100 students. So in that
Uh,
case, the focus is on the submission, or do you provide any feedback on that?
So I only have 19 students in this class. So it's easier for me to actually cross-check everything. And before this, I have them write like small reflections already in class. So I have an idea of how they write, how they construct sentences. So it allows me to see if it's, you have a feeling that it's AI generated, even though we can't really use the tools for it, because I forgot who mentioned, I think it was one who, oh no, it was Iran who mentioned that it can somehow, oh, it was Anna, sorry. Like it was, there's a high positive error, wait, false positive error for cross-checking it. So I just give them mini assignments first to see how their writing is, and then compare that with what their final submission is.